I get really excited for products made by Cottage brands because it's often the most innovative and coolest backpacking gear out there. That being said, the gear isn't always good, but I've been lucky in that I've been able to test a lot of different Cottage brand products, and today I'm sharing with you what I think the most innovative pieces of gear are. The innovators behind this gear saw a problem and instead of sitting on their laurels, decided to solve it. Mad respect to them. You wouldn't think it'd be possible to innovate a tent stake bag, right? They're just a square bag that you put your tent stakes in. This is basically what you'd get with any tent that you bought, but there is a problem with this kind of design, and that's that it makes it really hard to reach in, grab your stakes, and put them back, especially if you have tiny stakes mixed in with bigger stakes, like I have right here. It's just really hard to get that one that's really down there that's a little bit smaller. That's where the holster sack from Allman's Rights comes in. I was blown away when I tried this for the first time a few years ago. The innovation behind it is that when you open up the top, you get this wide opening. So the tent stake bag is kind of conical in shape with a wide opening, and that just makes it a lot easier to reach in, grab a tent stake, especially if you have tinier ones down at the bottom. And then if you are just getting a handful of stakes and you just want to put them back into the bag, it's a lot easier with this wide opening. And you just tighten it up and you have a nice compact bag of tent stakes. I've had this bag for 3 years now. It's been really durable. It's starting to get some holes in the bottom, but because it's made of DCF, it's durable as well as being very lightweight. Lighter than anything else out there other than maybe just using a rubber band. This is the kind of trowel that I used to use in order to dig my cat holes. It's basically just a pressed sheet of aluminum, but it was really annoying to use. It didn't cut super well. It was hard to get like a good grip on it that wasn't painful. And when you really need to push into like tough soil, you just ended up hurting your hand. It was just a terrible product to use. And if you wanted something better, then you'd have to use something heavier, a lot heavier oftentimes. That is until Mr. Bogler came up with this 13-gram trowel. It looks very similar to that other trowel. It's pressed aluminum, but there's some design characteristics that make it that much better than basically any other trowel that I've ever tried. First of all, you have these serrated edges along the front here in order to cut through roots and just get into that soil a lot easier. And then you have serrated edges on the side. The Bogler trowel used to only come with serrated edges on one side, so you had to kind of cut in one direction if you're cutting through roots. But I mentioned that to him and he added it to the other side, so that's awesome. Constantly innovating, constantly adding new features, which is great. The other thing that's great about this trowel is how it sits in the hand. It's very ergonomic. It doesn't pinch into anywhere on your hand. And then with this little nubbin on the top, you can really push on it and get it driven into tough soil. I've chatted with Ben Bogler, the designer of this, and it's cool to hear how meticulous he was with the design. Every angle, every hole, the size of every hole has been designed in a very specific way in order to make it as functional, usable, and lightweight as possible. Hygiene on trail is really important, but really difficult. You should be washing your hands often in order to not get sick. And for me, if I'm using a backcountry bidet, then I want to be using soap as part of that system in order to get just extra clean. If you are spending a lot of days on trail in a row, like if you're through hiking, but without hitting towns frequently, then being able to wash your body and stay clean is going to help with your overall comfort as well as chafing. I used to avoid bringing soap because it was heavy, messy, just a pain in the butt to bring on trail. But then I discovered Pika Outdoors Summit Suds. What's interesting about this is that it's a powdered soap, and there's a few really good benefits with that. The first big benefit is that it's lighter weight because there's no water in it. You just add water to it and then you get a nice sudsy lather. The second benefit is that it doesn't freeze, which is great if you're winter camping or just going out in colder temperatures. It works well, it's biodegradable, and I bring it on pretty much every trip now. I just pour a little bit from this big package into this little bottle here, and then I take this out on my trips with me. The newest item on this list is this little kit from Common Gear. I used to have a pretty bulky repair kit on a lot of my trips in order to repair gear if it failed on me. But with this little kit, you get everything you need in this compact, lightweight package. It comes with Gorilla Tape wrapped around the edge, which is great if you get a hole in your sleeping bag, in your puffy jacket, or your pack. And then you have a needle and thread in order to sew things up or maybe fix a broken strap on your pack. The thread is wrapped around the top here, and then the needle is just tucked away into this 3D printed kind of like case, I guess, which everything is wrapped around. So you get a little needle in there that the thread feeds into. And then on the bottom, there are patch repair kits. So if you get a hole in your sleeping pad, or these are also good for patching up a sleeping bag or something like that. If you get a little bit of down leakage, maybe if you catch it in a zipper, that's happened to me before, then you can use these in order to patch that up. And they're also just tucked in to this little compartment on the side of the package here. This is super cool. It's all 3D printed. You have these little caps in order to keep the thread as well as the patches in place. And I love what Common Gear is doing with gear and these little kits. Should we talk about that pack back there? It's looking pretty interesting. I've had it out on a trip, and I think it's a game changer. Let's go over a couple other items first. First of all, camp sandals. I think camp sandals are great. It allows you to let your feet breathe, get them out of wet, stinky, dirty shoes and socks. And if you need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, it's a lot nicer to stick your feet into some camp shoes instead of having to put on your dirty, stinky, potentially wet shoes. But the issue with camp shoes is that they're often super heavy. If you're wearing something like Crocs or even EVA sandals, they're gonna be weighing almost as much as your regular hiking shoes sometimes. And that's where Mayfly sandals comes into play. These things are insanely lightweight. They're just made with some cordage, some line locks, and then corrugated plastic kind of plating in order to act as the base of the sandal. I used these for 36 days on my Great Divide Trail through hike, and they're one of my favorite items. I use them every single day, and I've used them a lot since then as well. I recently had them on a trip where I ran into a subscriber, and they took a look at them and commented like, "You're still using those?" I was like, "Yeah, they're great." And these are the same pair that I've had since the very beginning. So they've actually held up pretty well. And that's because I do baby them. They're not made for going on big hikes or walking a lot around camp. They're more made for sitting around camp or putting on if you need to go pee and walk over to a tree. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. I have bad shoulders and short arms. So with a lot of packs out there, it's really difficult for me to reach back, grab water bottles, and then put them back. There are a bunch of packs that have solved this problem by designing the side pockets in a way that are a bit more ergonomic or adding side entry like with Osprey and Gregory packs. But if you found a pack that you really like and can't reach the side pockets for water, then you only have really two options in order to solve that. You can put your water bottles on shoulder straps, but that can be pretty annoying. Just ask Miranda goes outside. She encountered that recently where it was really annoying.
The smart water bottle's right here.
The other option is to use a water bladder. I know a lot of people will use that, but there's a couple issues with that I have. First of all, those bladders are eventually gonna leak. I've had 5 over the course of my life leak. Usually takes about 5 to 6 years, but when they do leak, it's pretty catastrophic and could be dangerous if it catches you in the wrong kind of scenario. The other issue with bladders is that when you have them packed up in your pack and your pack is super full, it can be a pain in the butt to take out the bladder, refill it with water, and then try and get that bladder back into the pack. So there's a company that has kind of solved all these problems. It's called One Bottle, and the system is that you take a regular water bottle, like a smart water bottle, and then you attach this hose with a cap that attaches to the smart water bottle, and it basically turns your smart water bottle into a hydration bladder. But what's nice about it is that it's easier to check on how much water you have left. You can use that water bottle around camp still, so you're not stuck with this carrying around this bladder and trying to drink out of this bladder. And then you can also refill it a lot more easily. It's a great system and only adds less than an ounce with this hose. And for people who want to just be able to sip water kind of as they're hiking, it could be a great option for you. Personally, I like to be able to just reach back, grab a water bottle, take a sip, and then put it back without having to deal with a hydration hose or anything, but that's just personal preference. Luckily, this pack, the Durston Wapta 30, has really accessible side pockets and a lot more going for it. This is probably one of the piece of gear that I've been most excited about out of any gear in 2024 so far. The reason I'm so excited for the Wapta 30 is it kind of changes the game when it comes to fast packing and just general ultralight backpacking. It comes with a hip belt, but that hip belt's removable, and when you kind of strip the pack down, it becomes very lightweight. But when you add the hip belt back onto it, you get a lot more carrying capacity, and it's a pretty big pack for being a 30-liter pack. That's because of all the storage this pack has to offer. The 30 liters is internal volume, so while a lot of pack manufacturers, they'll advertise all of the pocket volume combined, this is 30 liters on the inside, and then you get probably another 15 liters between this giant front pocket, the side pockets, the shoulder pockets, the bottom pocket, as well as those hip belt pockets. But while I think this is a great ultralight option, I think it's really gonna shine as a fast pack, and that's because of the pockets. You can access your water bottles on the side here. You can put things like bear spray, snacks, or a satellite communicator in these shoulder pockets. And then the bottom pocket is really good as well. It's great for snacks. That's what I put in there because I don't want something that if it falls out is going to be catastrophic for me. So that's what I use the bottom pocket for. And I used this pack on a recent trip and it was awesome. The cherry on top with this pack is that it's made with a new material that Dan Durson collaborated with another Canadian company. It's called Graphite. The name's right there. Aluha. And then Graphite. I don't know, the name's really weird. They probably should have reconsidered that, but it's a cool material because it's very lightweight, it's very durable, but it's fully waterproof, and this pack is seam taped everywhere. So it's essentially a waterproof pack. I'm gonna test that out a little bit more thoroughly before I really take it out in a crazy storm where waterproofness is essential, but the promise of it being essentially waterproof is really cool. If you want to check out any of the gear or the Cottage brands that I talked about today, then check them out at the links in the video description, or head over to Garage Run Gear. They're a Cottage ultralight online store that has been kind of helping and supporting Cottage brands get their products to market for years. They've been a sponsor of this channel for years. They're not sponsoring this video, but I just want to give them a shout out because they do so much for Cottage brands and the industry in general and helping out with that innovation. So thanks for watching, and if you want to see some gear under $20 that I think makes a really big difference for backpacking trips, then go check out this video right up here. It includes what I think are the best tent stakes after a lot of testing over the last few months here.